Hi, I'm Rob,
And I'm Jenny.
and we're here to present the next round of the Tropical Readathon.
Yep, so it's round 7 of our month-long version, no, round 5 of our month-long version, round 7 of our random versions, and it's going to take place in August in your time zone, the entire month of August.
The whole month of August, so August 1st, midnight in your time zone, you get to start reading for the Tropical Readathon.
So if you are new, we're going to go through everything that you need to know. If you prefer to read this, you can look at the link below, which is where it's just a typed out announcement post instead of this video.
Yep, we'll have all the information, but if you like to watch us, here we are. So the way this works is a team-based readathon, and so there are 6 teams.
Yeah, the first is Team Romance,
Then Team Science Fiction,
Team Fantasy,
Team Mystery Horror Thriller,
Team Contemporary Literary Historical Fiction,
and Team Nonfiction Poetry.
Yeah, so the way you choose your team is up to you. Usually people choose the team that they like the genre most, but that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you'll have team challenges that we'll explain later, but your TBR doesn't have to be the genre of the team that you choose.
Yeah, you can read books from any genre to satisfy whatever
Works.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yeah.
So it's a team-based thing, and you can by completing challenges and reading, you get points for your team, and so that adds a little competitive spin to it, but it's just all in good fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so first we'll explain the point system. So first there's the general challenges. So there's 13 general challenges, and for each of those, for completing one of them, you get 50 points. So it's a total of 650 points.
Yep, and general challenges, there's going to be a trope and there's going to be an alternate prompt. So you can do either one of those to satisfy that challenge, but you can only do it once. And then there's team challenges. So these are specific for the team. Each team has 2 team-specific challenges, and those are 100 points each because there's no alternate prompt.
Yeah, there's no alternate prompt, so it's a bit more difficult. So
it's based off of a trope that's common in that specific genre.
Yeah, but again, you can read a book for any genre to satisfy it. And then each team has like a team book, but in fact we allow 2 options. So there's 2 options of team book for each team, but you can read a team book, one from each team, for 150 points each. So for a total of 6 times 150 points, which is 900 points.
Yep, so the way the team books works is we have an old option and a new option. The idea is that the new option is a new release that people probably haven't read and might be hyped for. But the old option is a way to make it more accessible. So maybe you can get this at the library or like on Scribd or Libby or something like that.
Yeah, or a used bookstore
yeah.
From a friend, yeah. Okay. And so next, we'll go over...
Lastly, you get 1 point for every page you read.
So any page you read. So there's also a little bit of fine print. So for a book to count for a challenge, it should be at least the length of a novella, which is about like 17,000 or 18,000 words. You can look online or use your best judgment of whether this thing is the length of a novella. And also it can't be a graphic novel. So a graphic novel, if you read it, you still get a point per page, but these bonuses that you get from the challenges won't count.
Yeah, so no matter what you read, you get the point per page. It just has to at least be a novella or up to count for a challenge.
Yeah, if you're reading a textbook because you're taking a class, point per page.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll go through what the common challenges are and the team challenges are and the team books for this round.
Yep, so again, there are 13 common challenges. They are a trope and then an alternate prompt. You can choose whichever one you want to satisfy. If you want to try and do both as an extra challenge, that's fine, but you're not going to get any extra points for that.
Yeah, and also maybe remember that the way we do this is there's no doubling up. So 1 book per challenge and 1 challenge per book. So you can't use 1 book for multiple challenges.
Okay, so the first challenge is absent dead parents. So read a book where the parents are either completely absent because they're like neglectful or something, or on vacation or something, or they're just dead either prior to the book starting or at the beginning of the book.
Yeah, the alternate prompt is to read a book with multiple authors.
Yep. The next trope is the love triangle trope. I think everyone really knows what a love triangle is, so I don't have to explain that.
It's typically not a triangle.
Usually it's a V.
Yeah. So people don't really know, do they? Okay. The alternate prompt is to have your followers or friends choose between 2 books. So you can ask a Twitter poll or something like that.
Yeah. The next one is the new kid in town. So read a book where the main character is new in town.
And the alternate prompt is to read a genre you don't usually read.
Yeah, so you are the new kid in town. The next trope is dark academia. So this is kind of weird because people on the internet don't really have a consensus about what this means. So typically it's that it's what's the word? I want to say academic setting, but with darker themes. So maybe there's like a murder, or maybe there's some sketch dark fantasy stuff going on, things like that.
Yeah. And the alternate prompt is to read a borrowed book, so like a book you might get from a library, but you could also just borrow from a friend or something.
Yeah. Next trope is holiday. So there's two ways that you can read this. One is holiday, as in I'm going on a holiday, I'm going on a vacation. So you can read a book that has a vacation in it. The second is holiday, as in like, for example, today is July 4th and we're in America, that's a holiday. So you can look at a book that centers around a holiday, such as like Christmas or Halloween or something like that.
Or July 4th.
Or July 4th.
The alternate prompt is to read a book that takes place in another country, so as if you were on a trip.
The next trope is blast from the past. So this is when the main character meets someone that they've known from their past.
And the alternate prompt is to read a book published before the year 2000.
The next trope is mixed media. So this is to read a book that has things like text messages or letters or blog posts, stuff like that.
And the alternate prompt is to either listen to an audiobook or read an ebook.
Next trope is post-apocalyptic / dystopia. So this could be anything that takes place like right before an apocalypse, during apocalypse, right after an apocalypse, or that has a dystopia, because we decided to group these together this round because a lot of people get them mixed up with each other, so whatever works.
Yeah. And the alternate prompt is a comfort read. Yeah. The opposite of probably what living in a post-apocalyptic dystopia is like.
Yeah. Next trope is found family. So this is to read a book where there's a group of characters that bond and they kind of have a family dynamic, but they're not blood related.
The alternate prompt is to read a book in a series, so a book that is part of a family.
The next trope is celebrity. So this is to read a book where one of the main characters is a celebrity. So this can be like an actual celebrity, like an actor or something, or it could be like where the main character is a political figure, or it can be like where the main character is some famous person off of TikTok, because there's a lot of books coming out like that.
It doesn't have to be someone who's real famous, just someone who's famous in the book.
Yes.
And then the alternate prompt is to read a book recommended by a celebrity. So there are celebrities that come out with like their reading lists that they recommend. There are these things like these stickers you get on books that say Reese's YA Book Club.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
The next one is multiple POVs, so a book with multiple points of view.
And the alternate prompt is multiple POC, so to read a book with multiple persons of color, characters of color.
The next one is bookish themes, so this is to read a book where there's some kind of bookish themes in it. Maybe the main character is a writer, or owns a bookstore, or is a book blogger, or something like that.
And the alternate prompt is to read a book with a pun in the title.
The last one is retelling, so this is to read a book that's a retelling or like a remix of a previous story.
And the alternate prompt is to read a book that has either a TV or movie adaptation.
Coolio. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the 13 general challenges. So everyone can try to satisfy those challenges.
Yeah. Next, we're going to go into the team. So we're going to talk about the team-specific challenges. You only get points for the challenges for your team, so don't try and do all the other team challenges. And then the 2 team book options.
Whereas you can read the team books for any team.
Yeah. Okay, so the first team romance. So the team challenges are read a book with a friends to lovers trope. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The characters are friends
They are
first,
friends
and then they become lovers.
Second challenge is to read a book with the bodyguard trope. So this is something where there's kind of a love thing happening between someone and their bodyguard.
Yes. And then the 2 team book options. The new team book
is My Mechanical Romance by Alexine Farrell Fulmuth. So this is it's a YA romance about I believe this. So they're in high school. This girl shows promise as an engineer and joins the robotics club. I believe they already look kind of smitten with each other already, but But I think it seems to say it's an enemies to lover kind of thing. I think maybe they have some clashing.
It's a rivals.
Yeah, it also
Rivals
says
lovers.
slow burn, so there's some like, some of those fun tropes in there. But yeah, it's like a kind of STEM love book.
Okay. And then the old team option is Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. So this one is about an actor who I think he doesn't really like how the film or TV show that he's working for has adapted this novel that he likes, and so he has this like online persona where he kind of comes at his own show, and there's a other fan who posts a picture of herself, what's it called, cosplaying, yeah, and people have backlash because she's fat, and people are fat phobic like that, and so he asks her on a date for a publicity stunt, but then he kind of develops feelings for her and wants to keep it going. So I think that's the main premise of this.
Publicity stunt to lovers.
Yeah.
New trope. Okay, next team.
Next team.
The next team is Team Science Fiction. So the first team challenge is to read a book with the artificial intelligence trope, so something with like some sort of AI, robots type of thing.
Next one is read a book with a near future / techno thriller trope. I can't speak today, but near future as in near future of when it was written. So even if it was written in like the 1960s and was thinking about kind of like the 1970s or something, that's near future. So things that are kind of like, what if this happened and things went to heck?
Yeah.
Or a techno thriller where it's more
a lot of
kind
techno thrillers are kind of like that as well.
yeah, it's
Like
kind of like
Jurassic Park.
sciencey, yeah, like Jurassic Park, where it's like, what would happen if dinosaurs came back, or like, what happens if there's a pandemic?
We now know. On that note, the new team book for Team Sci-Fi is Invisible Things by Matt Johnson. So this book, it's about like the first manned space mission to Jupiter. But then like weird things happen. Like I think they find that there's already people there. And then there's like alien abductions. I don't know, it seems pretty wild. But yeah, looks good.
And the old team option is The Disasters by M.K. England. So this is about kind of like a space school dropout. Like I think he gets kicked out of space school, but while he's supposed to go back to Earth, this terrorist attack happens, and these 3 dropouts who are supposed to be sent back to Earth are used as the scapegoat. So they're framed for this terrorist attack, and they're trying to figure out how to get the truth out.
Next team.
Okay, Team Fantasy. So the first team challenge for Team Fantasy is to read a book with a pre-modern inspired setting. So usually you can find this online as like medieval trope, but we wanted to be more inclusive to include non-European settings as well. So anything that happens prior to the pre-modern period.
And then the second challenge is to read a book featuring the dwindling magic trope. So there's kind of, I feel like there's like a lot of these recently where it's like, oh, like the people are used to magic, but then they're like the supply of magic is running down, or there used to be magic and now there isn't really magic. So kind of books that use that trope.
Yeah.
The new team book comes out tomorrow, so it's not here.
I was like, what are you doing?
We've
pre-ordered it.
Yeah,
Pre-ordered
we
it.
pre-ordered it. It is Nura and the Immortal Palace by M.T. Khan. It's an MG fantasy, and I meant to read the blurb, but I did not have it. It's this little girl who dreams of doing amazing things, but she lives kind of in poverty, and then working in a mine, and then there's like the mine collapses, and some of her friends she thinks are dead, but she believes and she can go find them, and then but what she finds is a portal to another world, a world of jinn, and then adventure ensues.
I was A+ recalling.
Thank you. I did not have it until I said that I did not have it, and then I had it.
Okay, and then the old team book is Elatsoe by Darcy Little Badger. And so this book is about, oh my god, I just read this blurb.
It's alternate history.
Yeah, it's an alternate world, so it's like the Earth, but there's also magic. And the main character, Elatsoe, has the ability to bring back the spirits of dead animals, and one of her cousins dies and she wants to, like, I guess maybe use that power to help solve the cousin's murder.
Yeah, so it seems like kind of an alternate history fantasy murder mystery. Yeah. Next team.
Okay, team mystery horror thriller. So the first team challenge is to read a book featuring the mysterious invite trope. So this is when the characters, it's usually like, I don't know, 5 or something. Wow.
There's some pretty loud thunder right now. Earlier, we thought we were going to have to say, like, oh, like, we're sorry, you're going to hear a lot of fireworks. But then it started pouring rain. And so now you're probably hearing thunder instead.
So mysterious invite is when a group of characters gets an invite to a place that they either don't know who invited them and they show up and sketch things start happening, or maybe they know who invited them but weren't expecting this invite.
Yeah. And the second team challenge is to read a book featuring the undead trope. So we mean like things like zombies or vampires, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, and then team books.
Yeah, the new team book is Hollow Fires by Samira Ahmed. And you read this, so I was going to let you briefly explain it. I'm sorry.
So there is a boy who is arrested.
Oh, you told me about it too, so
yeah.
I could actually say
There's
something.
There's a boy who's arrested because he makes like a recycled jetpack or something like that and brings it to school, and one of the teachers is like, oh my god, he has a bomb, because she's being racist.
Yeah,
and
he's he's Arab American, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble remembering things. I've read a lot of books just like in the past week, and it's all a hot mess in my brain.
Yeah.
So it's about that and him, like, his story interlocking with the story of this girl who is out of school. It's like a private school where the principal is terrible and always trying to censor her school newspaper, and she's trying to like bring to light issues of like racism and anti-Semitism and stuff like that. But she keeps getting edited. So it's like her trying to figure out what happened with this boy because he went missing, while being like censored by her own school.
Thank you.
And then the old team option is Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. And I read the blurb, but you made me do that. Do you know anything about this book? Could you do this one?
So they're exploring like deep under the sea, and I don't know, maybe there's monsters.
Yeah, so it seems to be that 7 years ago or something like that, there was an exploration into the sea to try and like do a documentary on deep sea creatures, maybe like legends of deep sea creatures, but then that group went missing. And so it's a new group who's trying to go and like uncover what the other group discovered, or maybe what happened to the other group.
Sounds good.
It's a creepy cover. Can you see this? There's like an arm? Like, what the heck? Okay.
It is in the mystery horror thing. Next team is Team Contemporary Literary Historical Fiction.
Right. We're both struggling to talk. I'm sorry.
It's I mean, this is always difficult to say. CLH. The first team challenge is to read a book with the recent loss trope. So someone who's like recently lost a loved one, something like that, going through some grief.
And then the next one is to read a multi-generational saga. So a book that covers multi-generations. So like it could be about a parent and the child, or like a grandparent and the parent and the child, or something like that.
The new team book is Nuclear Family by Joseph Han. So this is a book about a Korean family from Hawaii, and yes.
Sorry.
And it takes so it's kind of like a literary fiction book. One of their sons like goes to Korea and tries to cross the border into North Korea, but then is like caught doing that and is in trouble. But it's like somehow it's that he was possessed by like his grandfather's ghost or something. But like I think it's like it's like a magical realism type thing. So like this happens like in modern day. It happens in the months leading up to the wonderful Hawaii ballistic missile alert. that we lived through, though, that you slept through.
I slept through it, and Rob was like hiding with his kids under the stairs. I'm so happy that I slept through that because, I mean, if you don't know, I'm from Hawaii. We came from Hawaii. We live in Chicago now, but we came here from Hawaii, and we were there when that happened.
Yeah, basically, there was one of these alert messages sent to your phone. It's like there's a incoming nuclear ballistic missile. Like you have 15 minutes to hide.
And no one knew what was happening.
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
It took them
a really long
like
time.
40 minutes before canceling it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Especially for me, who was sleeping the entire time. So I woke up to a bunch of missed calls because I just slept through everything.
But yeah, so I was pretty excited to see that there was a book about this. It seems like otherwise interesting as well, but it's kind of like leading up to that moment. Anyways.
Okay. And then the old teen book is Dear Haiti, Love, Elaine. I'm assuming it's pronounced Elaine. I'm used to it being spelled with an E. And so this is about a teenager who is... Something happens. It doesn't say what it is in the blurb. It calls it like the incident or something and says, don't ask. So something happens and she gets sent to Haiti for 2 months or something to do some kind of project to maybe make up for what happened. And so she's Haitian American, and it's like her learning about the culture in Haiti while she's there, and then also maybe having a little romance.
It was written by 2 sisters.
Oh yeah, I didn't even say the name.
No, you didn't.
Micah Mulit and Maritza Mulit.
Okay. The last team.
Team Nonfiction Poetry.
So the first team challenge is called You Laugh, You Learn. So it's to read a book that is educational but also like humorous. Goes about it in a funny way.
Yeah. And then the next team challenge is to read an autobiography or a semi-autobiography. So this can be an autobiography, like full-on nonfiction autobiography, or it can be like a semi-autobiographic novel where the author is making up a story but it's kind of based off of their own life.
Yeah. And the new team book is In the Beautiful Country by Jane Kuo. So this is an MG novel in verse. It's also semi-autobiographical, in fact. So you could read the other team book for the team book, and then you could read this as the team challenge. But so it's about this little girl who her family is moving from Taiwan to the United States, and it's about like what that's like to like immigrate to the United States as a little girl from Taiwan.
Cool. And then the old team book is called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. And so this is about someone who is a therapist, and then something happens, she starts going to therapy. So it's kind of...
Yeah, it's a nonfiction book.
Yeah, it's like unraveling the experiences that she's had both as a therapist, dealing with clients that are kind of saying the same things that she's saying to her therapist, and kind of talking about that with mental health and things like that.
All right, so that's all the team stuff.
Okay, so for all of these books, well, we're going to try and read the old team books before the readathon starts, and we're going to upload information about trigger and content warnings to our site, booktriggerwarnings.com. So if you don't know about it, it's a site that you can go to. You can search a book title, see if it's listed there. It's a wiki, so if it's not listed, you can add it yourself. And it gives you information about the book's content and trigger warnings, the book's tropes, the representation that's in the book, and if there's any like well-documented controversies about the book or the book's author, that's also included there.
Yep. So this is a site that Jenny and I started 2 years ago. So if you'd like to join us in making the site better, then please just sign up for an account and start editing.
Yeah. Okay, and then we'll also be having reading sprints during the readathon. So if you don't know what reading sprints are, it's when there's a host, and the host comes on and says, hey, let's read for the next 2 hours, and it'll be divided into these tiny chunks to help keep people focused. So it'll be like, let's read for 15 minutes, and then you start the timer. After 15 minutes, you all come together, maybe answer a few like icebreaker kind of trivia questions about what you read or things like that, and then you just keep doing that for the block of time.
Yeah, so we host these on Twitter, so we have a separate Twitter channel that you can follow.
Yeah, @Tropical Sprint is the name. We ran out of characters before we could add the S, so at Tropical Sprint.
Yep.
And then if you want to apply to be a Sprint host, there'll be a link down below in the description.
We have a couple of giveaways that we always host with the Tropical Readathon. And so the first giveaway is that you can enter by basically just posting your TBR. So you post your TBR either on like Twitter or Instagram or something like that. Make sure to tag us, and then also make sure to include the name, the username you signed up with.
Yeah, so that we know whose TBR it is, because sometimes people will post a TBR and we have no idea who they were when they signed up. So if they won the giveaway, we don't know how to match it up to the registrations. And then that will close August 7th at 11:59 p.m. Chicago time, because that is when the registration for the readathon will close. The second giveaway happens at the very end of the readathon. So we give a book of, so all these giveaways are book depository giveaways, so it's international as long as book depository ships to you, and it's for a book of your choice up to $30 US dollars max. And so the second giveaway happens at the end. We give one person from the random general pool a book, and then we give one person from the winning team a book. So if your team
As long as
won,
you have at least 500 points.
yeah, if your team won, then you have more of a chance to win. So you have to at least accumulate 500 points to be put into that. I was about to say readathon, to put into that giveaway. And 500 points is nothing. Some people are like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm gonna get 500 points. But you get a point per page, so you just have to read like 2 books and you're set.
Yeah, so, or for instance, if you read just one of the team books, that's, say you read like a 350-page team book, then you also get 150 points for doing that, and that's 500 points. So it's just to make sure that, like, people who participated, at least to some extent, are the ones that can enter the giveaway.
I don't know if you're hearing that, but it's
very loud.
Going. Okay, so registration, you can register at the link below. It'll close again August 7th, 11:59 p.m. our time, Chicago time. And you can also register at the link below, but also on the link to the written announcement, because that link will have all the information that you need for the entire readathon. So it'll have registration, it'll have the link for you to update your points as you go through the readathon. So when you click on that, if you want to,
I was just going to say more things about the registration first.
My bad.
Yeah, so the registration just brings you to a Google form. Basically, just asks for like a username to like track your things, and then what team you want to be a part of, and then how we can contact you. So for a username, just make sure one, that it's not just Joe, because there might be someone else who decides to take Joe. So your Twitter handle is a good one. The other thing that we'd say is also try to remember what you picked, because like sometimes we'll just like go to like look at the points, and we'll see that there's people who are telling us that they've gotten points, but we have no idea who these people are because they signed up under a completely different name.
Yeah.
And so we have to then kind of we try to like figure that out, but it's much easier if you kind of remember what that is. And in terms of telling us how to contact you, again, if you just say DM me,
we don't know who you are.
but if you signed up with a name that isn't your Twitter, then that's not gonna work. So yeah, just tell us like DM me at blah or email me at blah.
Yeah. So common mistakes for usernames is people who sign up with @blah and then just start updating with blah without the @. That one's easy for us to figure out who it is, but again, we have to do that manually. The spreadsheet can't account for that. The other one is like if your Twitter is like @Jenny Reads Books, and then you sign up as @Jenny Reads
Because that's your Instagram.
Yeah, because that's like your Instagram name, then we can't.
Yeah, people often will like kind of you can kind of find them because you find them on Instagram under what they signed up for, but not Twitter. And and then right. So if you go to the link below, you'll get to the Tropical Readathon page. So there's registration. The next thing is a place to update points.
Yep, so if you click on update your points, it brings you to this little calendar looking thing, and you can click on the date that you want to update for, and it'll bring you to a Google form that asks you for your username. Again, remember what you signed up for, and then how many pages you've read since the last time you updated, what challenges you completed, what team books you completed, and then there's a last question that's just for us. That's basically like, what books did you read? Because we're interested in that. So remember to update only since the last time you updated, because our spreadsheet will calculate it. It'll add it up for you.
Yeah, so literally, like, if you update and you're like, oh, like, I read 10 pages. Like, maybe you might update and you say, oh, I read 10 pages. And you're like, oh, no, wait, I read, like, 20 others earlier. Just submit another one that says 20, right? So the spreadsheet that we have automatically accumulates everything you do. So same thing, like, if you read one book one day, you can submit that you read that book, and then the next day you read another book. You don't have to submit the first book again.
Yeah, we already have that.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to update every day. It's set up for you to update every day, but if that's too much for you, if you just want to update every time you finish a book or update every week, that's totally fine. All of the forms are going to stay open until like a week after the readathon. So update whatever works for you. Just make sure you're only updating since the last time you updated.
Yep. The next link that we have is a link to the leaderboard. I imagine you probably heard that. It's pretty intense out there. Does not like the leaderboard. The leaderboard just gives like a little, it shows a little display from the spreadsheet, which shows kind of what team is winning, and also the top performer on each team. Maybe it's a good time to say the way that the points are counted is that we take the average score. So, because again, some of the teams will have much more people than others, so it's not the total score of your team, but the average score per person.
Yes, for instance, Team Nonfiction Poetry always has a very small amount. Sometimes there's like only like 4 of them. And so it wouldn't be fair to compare the points that 4 people accumulate versus the points that 5 billion people accumulate on Team Fantasy, because Team Fantasy always has an absurd amount of people.
Like 80 or 100
people. Yeah. Okay.
We also have an FAQ.
Yeah, so the FAQ is questions that people have asked us or that we thought people would ask us before we made the readathon public. So things like, can I read outside the genre of my team? Yes. Can I count a graphic novel? No. Things like that.
Except 1 point per page.
Yeah.
Then we also have a link of recommended books. So this is, so you click there for each of the challenges. So both the team challenges and the general challenges, we have 4 recommendations. So these are books either that we've read and enjoyed or books that we like are interested in reading.
Yeah. And that's for the trope part, not for the alternate prompt. Alternate, yeah, that's for the trope prompt, not for the alternate prompt. And then there's links to our socials. So there's Twitter, Instagram, Discord if you want to join our Discord chat. And then the last link is
the participant list. So there you can go, and there's for each team the list of people who have signed up. So if you forget your username, you can go over there and you can find it. So maybe you forgot like what spelling you used, or if you just forgot completely, you can look through the list and hope to recognize yourself. One thing to note about this is that this one is manually updated. So kind of we'll do it probably fairly often at the beginning, but like, you know, if you sign up and you go check right away, like your name won't be there. You have to wait maybe a day for us to update it.
Yeah, and that's organized by team, so it's not like you have to scroll through a list of 200 names to find you. It's going to be alphabetical by team. Yeah. And that should be it.
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet. So if you have any questions, you can check out the FAQ, you can check out the announcement post, you can watch this whole thing all again, or you can leave it down below in the comments.
Yeah. So thanks so much for listening to us, and we hope you enjoy
Readathon.